everyone, welcome back again to another edition of Moments with Lulu. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to watch my videos. And if you're new to this channel, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can always get notifications whenever I put up a new video. So I've had a lot of requests for like tips for nursing school, so that's what this video is going to be about. And I thought that it would be best to make this video when it's close to the start of school. So I felt like if I made it like sometime during the summer, people may not really be engaged, because summertime is like a time to like chill, relax, rest from the previous semester, and not even think about preparing for the upcoming semester until like weeks, months further in advance. So because school is starting for most people, so I decided to use this opportunity to make a video on like tips for nursing school success, especially for those of you who are starting nursing school this fall. You may be really excited, you may be anxious, you may have like different feelings and emotions going on at the same time, but they are all normal and it's something you should embrace. Without further ado, we are just gonna get right into this video. I'm just gonna be going over a few tips in this video, probably up to maybe 10 tips I would say. But these are things that I found that really worked well for me in my time when I was a student. And of course, I can only share mostly what I know, or mostly what friends have said worked for them and you could actually see what's working for them. But for the most part, all the tips I'll be sharing in this video solely based on my own experience. The first thing I'll say is, when going into nursing school, you want to have SMART goals. So in nursing school, we learn about this acronym SMART. So S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for attainable, R stands for realistic, and T stands for timely. SMART goals here means that you want to set realistic goals that you can actually attain and on time, in a timely manner. So it doesn't matter how small your goal is, but it just needs to be specific to what you want to achieve, and you have to make sure that it's attainable. So if you say by so and so time I'll be able to do so and so, that means you really want to be able to do what you say you'll be able to do at the time when you've specified. Goals can always be reformed, revisited. It's not linear. So goals are non-linear and they should be what works for you. No one should tell you what your goals should be. You should set your own goals by yourself, and always feel free to revisit those goals. If you make goals, you want to make sure that you're sticking to them. You want to be accountable to not only yourself, but let's say maybe to your sponsor or to something you hold dearly, because that will help you. Sometimes people say they'll be accountable, but then again, sometimes you need a second person to give you that extra push. So even if it means being accountable to like a friend or to a partner or to a family member. The second tip here I'll say is have your finances ready. So especially coming from an international student's perspective, I was an international student while going to school. I would always advise, if possible, this should be your number one thing when you're thinking of going to school as an international student, especially in a pandemic, like in this crisis situation of things are not how they used to be in terms of like economy, money, resources and whatnot. So you want to make sure that you're having this in mind. And when I say have your finances in order, you also need to plan your courses and your education as well. Because the reason I say this is, while I was going to school, even if there were courses that I couldn't take, like let's say I was finding it difficult in a particular elective, and clearly I could drop those courses. But for me, I couldn't drop any course, not because I didn't want to, but because I couldn't bear losing the money or like going to register for another course, which would be extra expenses. So how it works in my school is, if you drop a course, like let's say, if you drop a course for me and you're still owing, you cannot enroll in another course. And if you drop a course past the course deadline, you might not get your full money back. So you may get 50%, or if you drop it 3/4 way through the course or through the semester, you may only get 75% of your money back, or you may not get anything at all, depending on the time frame which you drop it. So for me, dropping a course was something that was never on my mind, even if it was difficult. So why I'm putting this out there is to be intentional about the courses you want to take. There is really no time for you to figure out if this course is hard or not. So in your first 2 weeks of school, you want to really ask questions before like registering for any electives. I'm talking about electives specifically. This has nothing to do with, some courses are compulsory depending on your program of study. Like for example, in nursing, you can never say you want to be a nurse without having your anatomy and physiology and pharmacology. So there's just some required courses, but this is more specific to electives where you have a choice of doing this or that. So this is something you want to be very intentional about. Ask questions, ask people who have taken the courses, ask your fellow students as well. Those very first 2 weeks are really critical. Don't think that, you know, you have all the time in the world to decide and whatnot. This is something you really want to take into consideration. And in terms of finances, I would also say you also need to plan, budget as well. You don't want to be throwing money left, right, center. Like, get the things you need. For me, whatever material I get in my first year, that's what I'm using all through my program, depending on how you want to think that through. But that is a fact. I will not go start buying, like, you know, just bulk buying or like purchasing things I don't need just for the fun of it or because they are fancy. No, don't do that, because that's a waste of money right there. You could use that money that you're using to buy everything in the shop to actually feed and clothe yourself, which are more important. Okay, also your fees, your tuition fees too, should be something to think about, because honestly you don't want to go through that mental and physical stress when it comes to like tuition or payment. You don't want to be owing your school, because that really does affect you. It could affect you mentally and emotionally, and of course whatever affects you mentally and emotionally would generally affect your overall well-being, whether you accept it or not. It would affect you physically, depending on how long that stretch or that financial, you know, difficulty is, or how long you have to endure that. It can affect you physically depending on how you're able to, you know, deal with things, and your strength and your, you know, patience and resilience. All of those things come into play. But that's why I always hint on finances. Finances are super important when going to school. Education is not free as long as you're an international student, and even if you're not an international student, money is hard to come by. So you always want to be thinking about all of these things, because you know, you don't want to go to school struggling or thinking about finances when you should be focusing on your school and academic work. My top point here is to make friends. So make friends in the same program as you. It's not enough to make friends outside of your program. It's good to make friends outside of your program. It's good to socialize, get to know people, you know, see what everyone is doing. But in summary, it's also good to make friends within your program, because remember, this video is about tips to succeed in nursing school. So you should have your academic at the forefront of your thought process. So always think of your academic life first, because that's why you're here, that's why you're going to school. And having that small circle of friends who understand you, you're able to build a rapport with, that's something that will help you through your nursing school. I had friends that I met in my first year, and people who I met in my first year are people that carried me through, and people I carried through to my last year of nursing. And truth be told, people you meet in your first year, I won't say you cherish them more, but I found that people I met in my first year, I had greater friendship and relationship with them compared to people I met like in second year, third year, along the line of things. But it all differs depending on your kind of person and the people you get along with. But just make sure you make friends with people who have the same goal as you, people who want the same thing as you, people who want to succeed, because you don't just want to be in a group of friends that will do you no good. Okay, regardless of if you're in university or high school, there will always be those group of people who either do not have your best interest at heart, or are just not fit to be friends with you or for you to be friends with. So that's something you need to take into consideration. Everyone is not going to be nice to you. Everyone is not going to have your best interest at heart. So just make sure you're making genuine friends, people you have the same goal as, people that have the same goal as you. So while you go through school, it wouldn't be too stressful, because at some point in your nursing education or your nursing program, you need a shoulder to cry on. You need someone to let your frustrations out to. You need someone to talk to. You know, just visit, because you just need to let out your frustration, maybe from clinical, like something that happened in clinical that you really can't let go, or that made you cry, or that made your whole day crappy. So that's something you want to take into consideration, making friends, reasonable friends that will be helpful for your education. Okay, Number 4 is to be organized. This is super important. You want to be organized and committed to your education. In as much as you want to do other extra things while you're going to school, while you're hanging out with friends, especially in your first year, it's very easy to lose focus in your first year, especially when you're just coming from high school. And you know, high school is different from university. It's not the same at all. So if you did high school and went straight to university, do not be deceived, because sometimes that transition shocks a lot of people. They are not able to tolerate or cope in their first year of university because they still have that high school kind of like mentality where they think that, you know, things are, they're probably in their own little bubble, but in university is totally different. So if you were 100% organized in high school, in university you want to be 200% organized. That's what I'll say. You want to be 200% organized. Try to stay organized, because it's very easy to lose focus. It's very easy to get lost because lectures go by really, really fast. You might think, oh, it's just 4 classes I'm taking this semester, it's just 5 classes. But those 3, 4, or 5 classes you're taking in a semester will be a whole lot, and you don't want to, you know, get carried away with the fact that you're taking 4 classes. 4 is not, it might seem like a small number, but the content of those classes will be really huge, especially in your first year where you have to do your foundational courses like anatomy, physiology, and pharmacology. So taking your first year of nursing or any degree very seriously will help you down the road, okay? My number 5 tip here is, don't go around buying items you don't need. Don't go around spending money you don't have to spend. I know I've said this about finances, but you may get caught up in your nursing school supplies. I know by this time people are like rushing out, oh, I need to get a new school bag, I need to get a new pen, I need to get a new clipboard, I need to get a new binder, I need to get a new this. Don't forget what you had in high school can still, like materials you had in high school can still be applicable to your university. It could be exciting to be starting a new semester, to be starting at a new school, to be starting a new phase of your life. But remember that the pen you used back in high school is still the same pen you will use in university, and the pencil you use in high school will be the same as the pencil you will use in university. That would never change, okay? Your writing materials won't change. So if you have to have something that you've had before, don't go buy new ones all in the name of, I'm so excited to be going to school. Don't do that. It's not going to be worth it, okay? There's time to splurge, there's time to spend money, and going through school, especially as an international student, is not the time to, you know, splurge, all right? So my next point here is to get a mentor or a coach. In my school, we had this thing where we did mentor to mentee sessions. So during the beginning of every academic year, they'll pair you, let's say you're in your first year of nursing, they'll send out an email to all first years. They'll pair you with a mentor, so they'll let you in on the program. They'll have you sign up if you want to join. It's not compulsory. I only had a mentor in my 4th year of the nursing program because that was when it was most ideal for me, I think, or that was when I thought about having one. I never really opened my mind to it in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd year. But having a mentor does really help you. You can ask questions, and the mentor you have is going to be a mentor in that same program as you, but the person is going to be higher. That could be someone who is doing their PhD, someone who is doing their master's, someone who is probably in their 3rd or 4th year of the nursing program and whatnot. My mentor was a PhD student. In my 4th year, I had a mentor who was a PhD student. Even though you may not, like, you know, have some conversations you might want to have with your age grade with someone who is doing a PhD program, that's totally fine. All you need to remember is that these people are actually there to support you academically. They are there for you to ask questions when you need to, whenever you need help, whenever you need directions, because they've been through that phase. That is the purpose of mentorship/coaching sessions, or having a one-on-one mentor who you can like FaceTime, voice call, video call, Zoom call, whatever. The purpose of them being your mentor is to guide you through your academic path. So if you have questions related to any course, if you have questions about the program in general, if you have like questions about clinical, if you even want more insights, just like wanting more insight, or just getting to talk to them to, like, you know, express how you feel about a particular course, about a particular instructor, about a particular clinical instructor, that's why these people are there. And I find them to be very effective, because sometimes we don't really know what's going on until we get talking. because they stimulate you to talk as well. So that really does help, and that's something I'll encourage all incoming students. And even if you're in your upper year, like second year, third year, and you have the opportunity to be a mentor or a mentee, you go for that opportunity because it's just going to be in your best interest. Okay, the next point here is use your time wisely. I know people have said this number and over again. There's so many YouTube videos out there like giving out tips for nursing school, telling you to use your time wisely, but it's super important that you use your time wisely. This is because university goes so fast. Like when you're being taught in school, the courses you're being taught, it's like they're rushing through it. They're not rushing through it, but they're just going really at a fast pace because there's a lot of content to cover, and university believes that everyone here is an adult learner. No one is going to come teach you the basics because they already feel like you've had your primary education, you've had your secondary education, and university is like self-directed learning. That is what is mostly being like transferred, self-directed learning. No one is going to babysit you. No one is going to come ask you how you're doing in courses. No one is going to ask you questions if you fail. So it's you who needs to be ready to put yourself out there. If you're struggling with anything, use your office hour sessions, mail your professor, call your professor, tell them you need a one-on-one session, that you're having difficulty in so and so place. You need to be your own advocate because you're no longer in high school, you're no longer in primary school. No one is gonna come advocate for you. No one is gonna tell you what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right, unless you yourself goes out there to seek advice or ask for help. And it's always best to go to your professor because they're the ones responsible for that class. And whatever they teach you, irrespective of what the textbook says, your professor is always right. This is something you need to keep in mind. No matter what the textbook says, if you're being confused with anything or you watch videos that are probably, you find some discrepancies, do not go against what your professor says because you want to stay on top of your academic life, right? And these are your professors who set your exams and mark your exams. And some of them will even tell you at the beginning of the class that, you don't listen to what the textbook says. Whatever I say is superior to what this textbook says. Because thinking about it, some textbooks do make mistakes. Not everything is 100% accurate. So always go with what your prof or what your instructor has said to you. And also, in as much as you use your time wisely, you want to make sure you're studying every day. You don't need to study the whole world or the whole anatomy, physiology, whatever. You don't need to study every single thing in one day. But you just want to do a bit of everything in one day. And the reason I say this is because if you become familiarized with the content, no matter how small it is, that will help you along the line, okay? So you can say, okay, today I'm just going to do 10 PowerPoints from anatomy for 1 hour, and then I'll do 10 PowerPoints from physiology for 1 hour and whatnot, or 10 PowerPoints from pharmacology for 1 hour. This will help you in the long run because these things go by really fast. You could have anatomy lecture today, have one tomorrow, or in between days, or every second day, every third day. And trust me, you don't want to go like when it's time for exam, you're like, okay, it's time for me to study, and you want to read the whole book at that point. No, you need to also know that the way your exams are set in university are more like applied questions. So no one is going to ask you directly what you've been taught, but the knowledge you gain from what you've been taught, that's what you'll be able to transfer to answer questions in your exam. So it's mostly like critical thinking and putting pieces together, which brings me to my next point of doing practice questions every day. I wish I knew this back then. Like, I would encourage everyone, to do practice questions right away from your first year. I would advise every student to do practice questions for every course. I wish I knew this back in my first year. I would have been very religious about it. I'm not saying to go buy NCLEX resources. That's not what I'm saying. Or spend your money buying NCLEX questions. No, don't even do that because it's gonna stress you out even more. What I'm saying is go online, go on Google and type free nursing questions for so and so course. You can even go on resources like Quizlet. Quizlet is very free. Just type quizlet.com, go there, look for questions, quiz yourself on every topic area you've learned in a particular subject. Quiz yourself on those areas, answer questions. You can also visit sarahRN.com, sarahregisterednursern.com. She's a YouTuber, a nursing YouTuber, very smart and she knows what she's saying, and she brings accurate information. Like seriously, she does a good job. She knows what she's teaching. She's one of those nurses on YouTube I recommend to every nursing student for academic purposes, because she's really good and she gives like correct information. Like everything she has said, everything I've listened to her for and used for the purpose of studying and for my exams, I've always excelled at every one of them, and she's very religious about what she does, and I highly do recommend her. So make sure you do practice questions. Set aside a bit of time every day to do a little practice questions, because when you do practice questions, it helps with your critical thinking. It helps with applying like your knowledge and putting things together, because like I said, your exam will not be exactly what has been taught to you in class. They're going to structure your exam in a way that you should be able to apply what you've been taught onto your exam, if that makes sense. So that's something I'll encourage you to do. Do practice questions, okay, and take them very seriously. And also, when you do practice questions, it's not just about doing practice questions. Go ahead to read the rationale. So if you get it wrong or you get it right, it doesn't matter. Go ahead to read the rationale, because sometimes you get a question right not because you knew it, but because you guessed, okay? Or even if you get a question right, you're not very sure, but you know like that's what the answer is. That looks like something I've learned, that looks like something I've seen somewhere, but you do not fully understand what the question is asking or what that question is about. So always go back to read your rationale, because it does help as well to stimulate your thinking process. And also, for those of us who really love to spend our time on social media, this is also an opportunity to follow like educating and motivating accounts. So once you're in school, you want to be following accounts that, you know, keep you motivated each day, accounts that inspire you. So you can follow Sarah RN on her Instagram. Look for like nursing memes page, or like nursing jokes or medicine or any medical healthcare jokes page, educational page, because in as much as nursing school is a serious business, you also want some humor in your life. You want some laughter, some happiness as well. You know, some days will not be good, some days will be really good, some days will be bad, some days will be ugly, some clinical days will be really stressful, something happened, and you just need a little laugh, okay? You need to add a little bit of laughter to you and, you know, uplift your mood. So that's where all this like motivating Instagram, Facebook page comes in. And I'll also advise people to go follow nursing student survival groups on Facebook. There's this particular group I know on Facebook that I've been a member like for a year or two right now. It's called Nursing Student Survival Guide. It's a US-based nursing group. It doesn't matter, I would say this over and over again, it doesn't matter if the group is in UK, France, Europe, whatever, Nigeria, America, it doesn't really matter. Healthcare medicine is the same. The foundation of healthcare is the same. Everyone shares tips. You just need to know, you need to be able to defer or to say this, okay, this applies to me, this doesn't apply to me. So irrespective of, you know, where the Facebook group is coming from, I'm a student here in Canada, but this is a US-based nursing group. Some things they say may not really apply, but that's fine. It doesn't always have to apply, but the basics are always the same. We are saying the same thing, but just in different terminology and different language. I'm also going to leave their link in the description box of my video as well. It's called Nursing Student Survival Guide on Facebook, sorry. And that page has really been helpful. People go there to, you know, share their stories. People go there to vent. People go there to ask for advice. People go there to ask for useful resources for like different kinds of units they'll be going to. People go there to, you know, get information on scrubs, pants, canvas, runners, whatever, stethoscope, blah blah blah, all those nursing and healthcare stuff. So I'm going to leave the link in the description box, and feel free to follow their page as well, okay? Because we all need to uplift each other, because going to school is hard. Nursing is not very easy. You need friends, you need people, you need a good support system, you need your family by your side as well, okay, to help you through this journey you're about to undergo, or this journey you're already in. So my next point here, my 10th point, is to take your foundational courses very seriously. I can't really stress this enough. Your foundational nursing courses are the most important courses you ever take in nursing school. So these are like your anatomy, your physiology, your pharmacology, your pathophysiology, and your what else, health assessments. these courses are super important as they form the basics, the foundation of your nursing practice. Because if you don't take these courses seriously, they're going to affect you in your second year, your third year, your fourth year, all the way into your nursing practice. Pay attention in your anatomy class, pay attention in your physiology. Anatomy is super important. You need to know where things are located in the body. You need to know your physiology as well to know what will happen in this area of the body that's going to affect this area of this body physiologically. You need to know how things are connected. You need to know what goes on, what is wired through the heart, the brain, the kidney, your liver, whatever all those organs are, and they will help you in your clinical while in nursing school, and they will help you in your career too as a nurse. No one is saying you need to know all the anatomy or every single thing. No, you just need to know what everyone knows, and you just need to know what you're being taught in school, because that's what you need while going into the clinical. You see how they make all this I don't even know whether to call them biblical or encyclopedia anatomy textbooks that are like this, or physiology textbooks that are like this. Like who do you expect to read that? All I'm saying is that make sure you pay attention to what is being taught in class. You don't need to know the whole anatomy textbooks, but there are things that your professor or your instructor will really hint on, specific organs that are super important for you to know. You want to take those very seriously, okay? Find YouTube videos, play with your mannequins or your skeletons in your labs. Play with those things, like know where something is located, whatever is located in the body. Take your physiology very seriously, because that is where I find out that is where the human science is, in your physiology. Because if you understand your physiology, part of physiology is not so much, because I feel like if you understand the physiology, you would know if something is not normal. So understanding the physiology is going to help you, know what is abnormal. So what is the patho in this situation? So that's just all I'm going to say. And someone asked me about waking up early at 5:30, how to maintain a schedule. So waking up early is not something you just build at one time. The reason, for me personally, the reason I wake up early is because this is how I've been groomed right from like primary school, like right from when I was a child. This is how I grew up. This was the time, like 4 o'clock is when our parents are waking us up to get ready for school, pack our lunch, go to school so we'll not be late and whatnot. So what I'm trying to say is this is something that builds over time, but it's never too late to start waking up early at any point in time. I'll just throw out a few tips there. So if you're someone who's looking at waking up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever early time you consider you're looking at, number one, you have to start with an alarm. I will tell you that I never wake up with an alarm, because that's not how my body is wired. My brain already knows when I'm supposed to be awake, and no matter what, I will be awake by that time. But for someone who is trying to like adjust to this standard of waking up, you need an alarm as loud as it can be, and you also need to know that it's not going to be easy for the first few weeks or few months of you starting it, because it's not how you're wired. It's not what your body is used to. So set an alarm for the same time each day. And the most important thing I would say is to go to bed as early as possible on the same time each day. Not particularly the same time, but around that same time interval. So target yourself to be going to bed before 9:30. So 9:30 you should go to bed. What I'm saying is that you want to get sufficient amount of sleep, because sleep is super important for your mental health, for your emotional health, for your brain. Like sleep also stimulates your brain cells so that you can think clearly and walk properly and reason really well. Okay, sleep is really good for you, and you want to get adequate sleep. And so someone who is trying to be up as early as 4:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock or 4 a.m. you want to go to bed as early as you can. Go to bed, stay in bed, don't do nothing in bed, turn off the lights, get your eye shield or close your eyes, decrease every noise, turn off all the lights. Don't go pressing your phone while you're in bed, because that won't help you either. That will just prolong. The more you're looking at lights, it's like stimulating your eyes. That's gonna just keep you awake more. Don't eat any heavy meals. Don't take coffee. If you're one of those people who like take coffee or take any stimulant or drink that keeps you awake, that prolongs your sleeping time, don't do that. You have to cut back on those things, because that could also affect your sleep as well. So start with that. Take it slowly. You may think it's not working. Every goal you need to attain, just need to realize you have to start slowly but surely you get there. So if you're also someone who wakes up really early and you have any tips for people who are looking at waking up early, please feel free to leave that in the comment section. People who are trying to achieve like waking up early at 4 a.m 5 a.m, please feel free to leave tips for them in the comment section. Let's all learn. And for those of you who are starting nursing school this September, I wish you all good luck. It's not going to be an easy journey for sure. I've been there. I know what it feels like. It's not going to be an easy journey, but it's going to be worth it, and it's something that you'll be proud of. Okay, just going with a mindset of I'm going into something, I need to put myself in there, I need to be able to do this. There'll be obstacles, there'll be challenges for sure, but you always need to give yourself hope. You should be your biggest motivator. Try to have as much fun as you can while you're going to school, but know what's important, know what comes first. It's all about priorities, and you excel very well. Okay, irrespective of wherever you are in the world, if you're like in the west, in the east, in the south, back home in Nigeria, just make sure you have your priorities outlined. Make sure you know what you're going in for, okay? And you see yourself soaring. Be patient with yourself. Don't push yourself too much. You might start out, it might be very challenging, which is very normal. So especially for international students who might be going to another country to study, it's going to be challenging in your first year, which is okay, which is part of like adaptation, because you're going to somewhere you've never been in your life and you're starting a new form of learning. This is going to be a huge transition for you, which is totally understandable. Don't be too hard on yourself. Call back home, talk to your friends. Don't let yourself wallow in isolation or depression, because that will be absolutely bad for your mental health. And yeah, that brings me to the end of my video today. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. Don't forget to share, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you all in my next video.